Nick for bringing the business. Hey, I had a thought about. I know it's been what the trade happened like a week now. It's probably been a week for James Harden. Uh, so my thoughts about the trade. I mean, I think in essence, I guess you could say both teams got better. The reason why I say that is because even though I don't really feel like I think he's a clutch. I think James Harden is a clutch regular season player. Like he's going to he's don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take anything away from James Harden because he's a bona fide Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, you can't say nothing about that. You can't argue that. He is a dynamic scorer. In his prime, he was a dynamic scorer. Uh, he can dribble the ball. He can assist. He create for himself and for others. As far as creating his own shot, assisting, and help others, look better as far as getting them the ball in great positions to score. But I'll say this: if I'm going by a person's history, and as an organization, if I'm the owner of this organization, do I mortgage my future for James Harden based off of the past of what he's done? I mean, no, I wouldn't do it based off of the fact that he finds a reason why he don't want to play for team to team each time. Now, hopefully it don't happen this time. Hopefully he's at a situation where he's happy where he's at, nothing happens, everything works well with the players that he's with, and it all, turns out to be great. But if I'm going back to history, I'm not mortgaging my future. I'm not giving up future draft picks. So because I gotta go back and look, so I don't want to say offhand like I know for sure. But okay, so you got James Harden, you got Russ, you got PG, Paul George, you got Kawhi Leonard. My thing is, you pretty much gave away your bench because I mean those players, all of them are first ballot Hall of Famers, no question about that. So you can't say nothing about that. All of my dynamic players, but all of them in their 30s. So it's kind of reminds me of what the Nets did when they brought over KG, Paul Pierce, and who else did they bring over? I think it was with Joe Johnson was with him or something like that. I'm not, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Paul Pierce and KG was in that mix. And they brought them over there thinking like, okay, Brooklyn Nets, we're going to have these players. But you brought them over, they was out of their prime. They won a championship in Boston. They had a chance to, go back and win another, but they didn't. You bring them over in the Nets, they out their prime. And I'm not saying like Paul George still can't score. I'm not saying that Kawhi can't still, but you getting them kind of like on the tail end of their career. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they not LeBron, so like you still, you're not really getting them where they're at the prime of their career. So yeah, why would I mortgage future draft picks? I'm emptying my bench, so to speak. Where's your defense coming? Because you gave up Nick Batum, you gave up Robert Covington. I mean, yeah, you're gonna get PJ Tucker. I mean, which is a great defensive piece and a glue guy. Yeah, but you gave up two guys who were not only like a solid piece as far as giving you some decent minutes, some decent scoring, but you also give up your defensive identity in those players. Do I give that up in order to get James Harden? Nah, I guess time will tell. And I'm a real firm believer that time will tell because, yeah, we can sit here and talk about, man, it's a bad move, whatever like that, because I also look at it like Russ needs the ball in his hand to score and to create. James needs the ball in his hand to score and to create. So on paper, yeah, like just like you building a team, on paper, a lot of players look good together, but do their games go with each other? Like you could make a team like I want Kobe and I want Mike, I want, whatever. But will they gel together is the question, when you start to put these pieces together. Because like most teams, like most championship teams, you had to have players that were willing to play a role, in these teams because everybody couldn't be the man. It had to be a man, and it had to be somebody after that, and it had to be somebody after that. You got to have somebody who's willing to take the charge. It's got to be somebody willing to rebound the ball. You had to be somebody willing to come in and, get you those 5 fouls that was needed. You had to have that defensive guy, who came in with a defensive stopper, who, everybody had to play a part on a championship team. So it's like it sounds good to have all these players come in together, first ballot Hall of Famers, all up can score, most can create off the dribble and all of that stuff, but there's only one basketball on the court. And when that player's game is similar to the point where Harden needs the ball, Russ needs the ball, PG needs the ball. The only person I can say that can probably play off the ball in the midst of all 4 of them would be Kawhi. And still be able to get his points slash and, get a little stuff. But you got 3 people who need the ball in their hand to create. Now, the only person I can say that will get people involved, I'll take that back. Because Russ will get people involved too. Russell gets everybody involved because he will assist. Will rebound, but what about James Harden? James Harden gonna get people involved, but Russ get people involved too. So what you gonna do? You gonna use Russ to slash? We already seen that's not Russ' game. He need the ball in his hand. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if everybody within that Hall of Fame group is willing to accept a role and be a star in that role, then yes, it would work. But me as an owner or as a head coach of an organization, do I trust that James Harden's going to be able to come in and to do what he's supposed to do without getting frustrated and saying, it's not what I thought it was going to be. I got to leave. I got to get up out of here. I don't know if I'm willing to mortgage my future because as a franchise, you want to be able to not just win now, because me and B had this conversation, would you take a chip now and worry about that in the future? Yes, I want a chip now. So the answer to that question, yes, I do want a chip now, but I also want to be a successful organization and franchise for years to come. So it's like, am I willing to mortgage that for a player who I'm not even sure going to be on board? That's the problem because, yes, am I willing to mortgage it to say I can get a championship this year and possibly next year? Yes, absolutely, because there's nothing that's promised. You can have top draft picks and still don't win. So if I'm mortgaging it to say these 4 players or these 5 or 6 or 10 players, 11 players that I have, starters plus bench, is going to get me a championship, am I willing to say, yeah, cool, I'm going to do that? Yes. But it's just with James Harden, it's like, my problem is believing that he's going to be that piece to stay, if even in the midst of turmoil, in the midst of like you not getting your way or things not panning out the way you want it to pan out, will he be willing to stick it out? Another thing I'm worried about James Harden is he don't show up in the playoffs. Like, he have certain good games, but for you to be demanding as much as you're demanding, you have to be the man. Now, and I'm not saying I'm not taking nothing away from him as far as like his ability to just on the court, period. Score the ball, assist the ball. Defensively, I think some people always take a back seat because you're going to figure, like, which one I'm good at scoring, so whatever. But my thing with that is he's consistently not showed up in the playoffs. I'm not saying like he ain't had big games, and don't get me wrong. I'm not. I mean, you can go back and be like, man, but he had a 30-point game in round one. You know what I'm saying? He had two 30-point games. Yeah, but where have his teams went? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Have he ever made the conference finals in any team that he's been with? I mean, maybe OKC, but you had, I don't know, did they make it to the conference finals? Maybe they did. But that was with KD and Russ. So my thing is, what team that's been led by James Harden he's took to the conference finals? To the finals. Like, when the chips come down and it's supposed to be like, okay, we need him to take it home for us, he shit the bed. That's just the reality of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, he's demanding, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if a motherfucker like LeBron was like, man, I want you to get rid of such and such, I want to go here. Motherfucker, clear the table. Fuck yeah, motherfucker, you know, fuck yeah. Motherfucker like KD say, man, I want to come here. Motherfucker, clear the table. Motherfucker like Steph say, man, I want out of Golden State. You know what I'm saying? I want to go here and play for the rest of my career. Motherfucker, clear the table for Steph. You crazy as a motherfucker if you don't. But for James, it's different for me, man. And it's like I'm not taking away from James Harden his game, but in clutch situations, he ain't clutch enough. And then I'm talking about, like, so fast forward to now where everybody can see, like, yes, he's still a solid player now. Don't get me wrong. He can still get you 20, he can still get you 8 to 10 assists, you know what I'm saying? But he's not the same James Harden. He's not dropping 40 points. He can't dribble past people like he lost a step. Everybody see it. Everybody see it. So for you to try to garner this amount of what can I say, this hype for you, where I want to go here, and teams got to be like, oh, well, we trying to get. It's kind of baffling to me that these teams still honoring this shit. Because it's like, yeah, you're getting a solid player, but what are you really getting? Where you going to mortgage your future for this player? I just don't personally agree with it. Now, did Clippers get better? In a sense, yeah. On paper, they got better. Now, will it all gel and work well with each other, with these players, with the bench? I got to check the bench out. I got to see what the bench looking like. Because you gave up some key player. KJ Martin, you gave up some key. And he a young piece, too. He a young piece. So it's like you gave up, and you gave up draft picks. So it's like, now Philly got better. I'm going to say Philly got better. Philly got better for the simple fact that you allowed, is it Terrence Mann? I want to make sure I'm saying the right word. Terrence, right person, Terrence Mann. You cleared the way for him to become the player that he needed to become for Philly. You know what I'm saying? And then Philly get key pieces. You get KJ Martin, you get Covington, you get Nick Batum, you get solid bench players, you know, that come to go around, you know, that they'll start a lineup. And then you get Embiid, who's gonna be Embiid. I think Philly got better. For sure. Philly got better. And they get draft picks. Philly got better for sure. You know what I'm saying? Philly got better for sure. It's just that, I mean, so I can't really knock Philly though. Philly did the best that they could with knowing that that player wanted to leave. He wanted that up out of there. But I think Philly also knew, and I'm not saying maybe Daryl Morey was bogus in how he did things or whatever with James Harden, but I think Daryl Morey knew, like, man, I'm not giving you all this money, bro. You ain't even that like that no more, bro. For me to be like, give you $30 million a year, like, why? The fuck I'm doing that for? You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what the agreement was. I'm just saying, like, if it was me as a VP or owner of the organization, I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not doing it. You haven't, like, The playoffs is just passed. You couldn't even get us over the hump. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have full autonomy of how the offense is being ran because it was pretty much ran through you. You couldn't get us over the hump. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give you 30 million a year. You on the decline. That means as good as you are, you still on the decline. So it's like, why would I do that? So I mean, I'm just saying, like overall, I think James Harden is a dynamic player, has been for years. But just like every player that gets old, at a certain time you hear, but you start to decline and go down, and at that point it's like, why am I paying you that much money? You know what I'm saying? Why am I paying you that much money when you still can't get us over the hump? You know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to have number one, number two, and I mean, of course, indeed number one, but still, and I can't trust you to get me over the hump. It makes no sense for me to try to mortgage put all my chips in one basket when it comes to you. You know what I'm saying? Now, you may not like the business side of it, but that's just the way it is. Now, if you are older player and you still showing like, man, I can still produce like that, and you helping us in the playoffs to make sure that we doing what we're supposed to do and we getting where we're supposed to go, for sure. I'm pretty sure if you all made it to the finals, you would have got your money. I mean, not even won the final, but made it to the finals. That's another step where they could be like, okay, cool, what y'all, second round or some shit? What y'all? I mean, was it the second round? I mean, I want to say second round. I want to at least say y'all made that first round. So, second round, that ain't nothing. And you don't show up. So, the way I look at it, like, did both teams get better? Time will tell. Time will tell. You know, I want to say Philly got better. And then, based off of what happens with the Clippers and how they all gel, I say the Clippers got better. But time will tell. We'll see. You know. But that's just my thoughts on that whole James Harden trade. Philly Clippers. You know, season just started. Hope it all bodes well for both of them, man. This Nick, man.